As German Chancellor Angela Merkel continues to destabilize the continent with threats and bluster, and to the consternation of globalist and financial markets, there is a growing danger of secessionist movements breaking out all over Europe as the continent's regions begin to reassert their unique linguistic and cultural differences to the nations they have been attached to, and in some cases for centuries. While secessionist aspirations in Catalonia, Spain is currently getting all of the media attention, developments there are being watched closely by other areas and regions around Europe, with the same desire to divorce themselves to varying degrees from more local autonomy to a clean split from their current nation states. The Europe of regions is making a comeback, and the question is, if Catalonia is able to separate itself from Spain, where could be next? The following is a list of areas that could be bolstered by Catalonia if it should succeed. This region of Italy was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and was annexed after the end of World War I by Italy. It's been an autonomous province located in the most northerly part of the country, but it is distinctly un-Italian. 3/4 of the 500,000 people that inhabit the region speak German, and the region has had a secessionist movement that seeks to cleave it from Italy and unify with German-speaking Austria. Both of these regions have strong separatist movements that, like Catalonia, are based on taxation and the perception that they are carrying the poorer regions of the south. In 2014, 2.1 million citizens of Venice held a non-binding referendum on independence, with 89% approving the measure. But as with Catalonia, a referendum eyed for October 2017 has been blocked by the national government. Thus, another referendum will be held in these two regions, and they are being posed with the question, do they want more autonomy and more money returned by the central government? Gee, I wonder how that vote will go. Probably the region watching the events transpiring in Catalonia with the most interest is the Basque country, which is located on the northern coast of Spain. Already designated an autonomous community, the region, unlike Catalonia, has a history, similar to Northern Ireland, of violence being carried out by nationalist and separatist group ETA. Owing to the region's distinct culture and language, and despite a ceasefire called in 2011, the push for separatism by the Basques remains very strong. In what could be called the most artificial country in Europe, Belgium, with its long history of tension between its Dutch-speaking Flemish and French-speaking Walloons, is a long and drawn-out drama. And to add to the problems, there's also a German-speaking region in the country's far east. And in all regions, there are considerable pushes for independence. But it is Flanders that is pushing the hardest, and it was reported that the Catalan flag was hung outside the headquarters of the New Flemish Alliance, a nationalist group that advocates for a gradual succession of the region, and they hung the Catalan flag in support. Probably most familiar with Anglo audiences is the Scottish Nationalist Party, who has yet to give up on its aspirations of breaking up the UK. While supported by the likes of Irvine Welsh and Sean Connery, a referendum on independence back in 2014 failed, and the SNP are watching the events unfolding in Catalonia with extreme interest, especially in the aftermath of Brexit, which the majority of Scots voted against. The SNP leader, Nicola Sturgeon, while calling for a second referendum, it would seem that there is less support for leaving the Union, as her party recently lost seats in the 2017 general election. But things can and do change quickly. And this problem is not only confined to Europe. Across the Atlantic in the United States, there have been calls for Cal exit in response to not only the election of Donald Trump, but as a result of the rapid change in the ethnic makeup of the state, as well as the extreme leftist politics that dominate state and many local governments in California. And now, while many would rejoice the Sunshine State leaving the Union, and many have argued how it could be done legally, many have pointed to Texas, which has already tried to secede in the past and has failed miserably. Texas has attempted a Texit time and time again. Residents of the Lone Star State passed resolutions calling for a vote on secession as recently as March 2016, but the one big obstacle is the U.S. Constitution lays out procedures for how a new state may enter the Union, but there are no protocols for a nation to exit the United States. The other region in North America that has tried and failed is the Francophone region of Canada, Quebec. Last attempted in 1995, the failed Quebec referendum was the second referendum to ask voters in the Canadian French-speaking province of Quebec whether it should proclaim national sovereignty and become an independent nation. Even though the measure failed, the Quebec sovereignty movement lives on, and if the recent banning of the niqab and burqa in that province is any indication, a reassertion of traditional Quebecois values in the face of relentless forced diversity is a very real possibility. Whether it be conservative organizations in Flanders or leftist alliances in Catalonia, forced diversity and globalist plans to erase people, their cultures and borders within Western countries is not going according to plan. The edifice that is the EU is like a large tree. It may look strong and may seem permanent, but it's rotting from the inside out, just as the Soviet Union was in the 1980s. From the East that refuses to accept the diktats of Merkel and Brussels to the emerging calls for separatism, European people's meek acceptance of the dying of the light of their civilization may not go, as the political class so desperately wants, so gently into the night. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of material, please consider subscribing. Also follow Black Pigeon on the usual social media and check out the website blackpigeonspeaks.com for more interesting information like this.